Okay, so team 2 is going to come up and present, speaking to the mic, and
you guys can just point at me when you want. You don't have to interrupt your flow or
super.
Yeah.
And we're going to take judge questions first. If we have time after that, I'll open it up to audience questions in the interest of time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on out today. We had a very good working session today. We're going to represent ourselves as Komoto Gardens. And Komoto is a cultural name down in the area where the site location is located. So we wanted to kind of keep in the feel of the cultural feeling around the area and keep moving with something new and whatnot. Next slide. Our team members are right here standing up in front of us. So let's start off with Rango, hands up. Melody, I'm Glenn Roberts, Sarah, there we go. Danielle, Andrew, Lee, David, Steve, Brian, and Michelle. So, or Melody, right? Okay. And so thank you very much. What a great team. I'm so inspired working with these folks. It's unbelievable. Thanks. All right. So our site plan is generally located in and around the high-speed rail station. Of course, close proximity to Yosemite and Sequoia National Parks and Kings Canyon National Park. And we want to kind of capitalize that because we have a lot of visitors coming in through California. And in fact, last year, Yosemite Park alone received 4.2 million visitors. Might be a good thing to get some of those folks to stop by our site. Next slide. Okay. Here's the aerial footage of the site. And we are the red dot up there, if you can see it. All right? And then that puts us exactly in the proximity of the high-speed rail station. So there's going to be special zoning, and our zoning that we had to work with at the site was RMX for a residential mixed use. The zoning required us to have a height restriction of 75 feet, so we had to work within that. Couldn't go up too high. And also the number of residential units. So believe it or not, we have 37 residential units in here. And can I have that laser pointer, please?
Just push the red one.
Red button. And right about there is going to be my spot. Right there. That's going to be my new. That's it. I'm buying in on this one. So. and let's see. And we also provide on top of the rooftop the solar arrays, and that'll be about 23 feet for the solar panels. Okay. All right. So we had to talk about systems and how we integrate things. The Komoto Garden concept is basically an overall management company of the site. So that's Komoto Property Management. And then that is in direct relationship with our landholder, which is the Friend family. The other entities that you see up there for energy, water, waste, and ag, those are our profit centers. And so each one kind of feeds into another one, and it's fully integrated. So let me give you an example of a systems detail for the water system, please. Okay, this is how some of our water is flowing in the building, and we're going to capture this stuff. We're going to take the gray waters, we're going to be running it through digesters, filtration units, reusing a lot of the water, and they'll have their gray water plumbing and piped in throughout the building, of course. And we just felt this was pretty important. And next slide. Yeah. Okay, so we all want to know about costs. Okay, and we did our best to estimate a lot of the costs. If we had more time, I think probably by tomorrow we would actually have the full-blown spreadsheet with cost analysis and whatnot like this. However, what we do know today is that we're going to harvest about 14,000 heads of lettuce a day. So we decided to go with a monocrop in this particular case because we can get the lettuce to grow in a very confined area because we're limited on the volume that we have in the site. So we use about 30,000 square feet of garden but we are actually simulating 3.8 acres of growing lettuce. Now imagine growing lettuce in such a tight, confined space. We're only using a quarter gallon. That's just a quart of water for each head of lettuce instead of 10 or more out in the field. So we feel this is a very economical way of going about it, and we are certainly able and flexible to move into other crops that make good sense economically, but for the exercise, we decided to go ahead and make sure we had a monocrop that we can identify numbers, okay? And so the annual revenue on 14,000 head a day, 360 days, we've got a couple days in there for maintenance. We're at 3.8 million, or 3.6 million. So I think we did pretty good there. And the capital cost to put the garden, the capital infrastructure inside 2 floors of the proposed building, it'll be about $2.8 million. So I think that puts us right in there. We don't have to mess with a lot of details in regards on building structure and stuff. We just slide right in there. The floors are spaced actually a little higher, at about 15 feet from floor to ceiling height. So that makes a good environment for us. Okay, and staying with the scope of the workshop, we've added on the Association of Vertical Farming tags, and what we feel it's applicable to our project. Okay. All right. Now, with the 37 units and also the residential, we get revenues of up to about $484,000 a year. Commercial is about $277,000. And we're going to actually have underground parking. We have about 170 plus parking spaces underground. And we're going to charge for that because we're downtown. So we're going to get an additional, we're going to get an additional 11,000 or so off of the parking. Now, the total, next slide, please. So off the revenue streams just for the residential will be 3.8 million. The commercial, 8 million. That's a total of 11, of course. And then when we add in the capital costs for the vertical farming operations, we're coming in at around 13.8 million, which we feel that this is kind of a feasible project to do, and it's worth to go to the next step for a feasibility study. So we're kind of proud on saying with all the confines of the zoning restrictions. All right, nuts and bolts. Okay, the vertical farming operation is with a nutrient film technique, again within the 2 floors of the site. It's a controlled environment. We're going to use lighting, so who's ever asked a question about sunlight and all that stuff, everything is controlled. We want to be able to control everything, maximize it, and make it as dense as possible. Again, the lettuce using a quart of water instead of 10 gallons of water out in the field has been very appealing to us. And then, if I may, one more, expand on the management company. So, we feel that we want to work with the landowner. And so the management company of the entire site would be responsible to the landowner. So we really want to emphasize that responsibility that we're going to take and how we're going to design the sustainability and how we're going to build. And then the other entities that make profit, like we'll have our own energy company within the site, selling energy to the residents. They can choose to take energy from PG&E. They may want to buy our energy at a lower cost. Also providing costs into the vertical farming operation, commercial operation, so on and so forth. And that's what that systems plan was really all about. And that kind of concludes our presentation for the day. Judges, I don't take all the answers, or the questions for all the answers. I have a team here, so I'm going to let each one speak up when it comes to the right type of question. And we look forward to hearing any questions you may have.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, Scott, questions for Komoto Gardens?
Can we see the site plan again, the building? Yeah, that's one. Okay, so what's the tower off to the left?
This tower right here?
Yep.
Just to bring, I I guess, some attention to the property from the corner. We are required to have 50 foot off of each corner, frontage on the road. So we decided to make it a focal point. We could also use it for storage if we wanted to. We can make it a lookout. There's lots of different things we can do with it.
Okay. Will all parking be underground?
Yes, all parking is on. We have 2 levels underground. Kind of hard to see the dashed lines.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
But there is underground parking,
Okay, I see.
2 levels.
And so moving up, what's floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4?
Yes, we have, it's all commercial, retail. 80% of the frontage needs to be retail. So that could be restaurants, little shops, offices. Then we have 2 floors of residential. And then also on top of the main farm building is more residential space.
Okay, and so when you say the main farm building, how many buildings is this actually?
There's 2.
2 floors.
There's this main building here is our farm,
Okay,
and there's this building in front, which is the office retail space with residential above.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Great. Doug, questions?
Well, I'm curious about the energy. You mentioned selling the energy to the residents. To run the facility, you feel you're producing enough energy to run the facility and provide to the residents and the shops?
We will utilize essentially all of the energy that we can produce. We also have in the strategy a air compression energy storage concept, which would be below the second basement floor actually, to store and compress air so we can buy electricity at off-peak pricing. And then when it comes peak time, then we can generate, by releasing the air, generate electricity so we can use our electricity at off-peak. So it's just an energy storage concept, and it uses air compression, and therefore we don't have a lot of batteries on the place that could explode with the extreme heat that we get around here.
I think that's innovative. I really like the part about recycling.
Great. Tom?
So approximately 21,000 square feet for the PV, is that correct?
Correct.
So is that, do you know what size solar system that would be?
It'll produce, I think someone calculated it'll produce about 1,000 kilowatts per day. I don't know more details than that.
I remember it was going to cost about $1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah.
So 21,000 square feet should be about, if it's oriented south, maybe about 28,000 kilowatt hours a month.
So it's about 1,000 a day.
So, yeah, that was going to be my question too, is about, is that energy, so it sounds like you thought a little bit past that, so I like that. As far as funds for building this, so that Glenn should move in, any idea how that would come about to get funds to build this? Just one, I know that you've done, I really like what you put together. I'm just wondering if you've had any conversation about how it could be funded.
We have had a little conversation, Sarah.
We just talked a little bit about tax credit possibility, and that was it. So we really didn't go into it in detail.
Wasn't required of them, but it's still a good question.
Yeah, I really like the details you've gone through, thinking through different business components, energy, monocrop, all that. I like it.
Separating the land from the actual physical structure, so that stays with the friend family. That allows them to have an equity position in it, which then we can leverage for potential financing. But it's totally up to them if they want to be involved with it. If not, then they're just essentially leasing us the land to do all this work, and then we have to go out and try to find general project financing for such a building. And at about $13.8 million, we think there's a good calling out there that could be funded.
Okay. Just one more question. doesn't have to do with solar. How much would rent be for a person to live there?
Rent would be the same as anywhere else in Fresno. It'd be comparable. We don't want to charge too much. It's also a very poverty-stricken area, so we need to keep costs down to provide homes for these people.
We talked about having a variety of sizes in the housing, and so there might be 1,000 square feet all the way up to 1,800 square feet in the units. But we figured, I can't remember whether the average was 175.
That's for commercial.
That was commercial. So
And
it
then
was
120 for residential.
$1.20 per square foot was when we did the research in, what residents, what they're charging for rentals down in this area currently, that would be about at $1.25 a square foot. Per month.
Great, thank you. Let's hear it for Team Komoto Garden.